Hey guys, welcome back to the Foolish Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. Just wanted to give you some of my thoughts after Michigan goes down to Central Michigan tonight in Ann Arbor. Wow, and I gotta say this is definitely the darkest I've seen Michigan look in a long time. Now, I know they've had tight games versus, I think it was Toledo and Lipscomb, however you say that name, but Michigan was able to pull those games out. Not tonight. The feisty Chips, Fire Up Chips, if you know what I'm talking about, in the great state of Michigan, that's their calling card, Fire Up Chips. Sorry, Fire Up Chips. They came to play, and Michigan just kind of got out early, got up by 5, 9-4 at the first time out break, and then the game just got mucky up. It got mucked up, man. And give Central Michigan total props because they put in the effort that Michigan wasn't willing to go on. And they got rebounds, offensive rebounds, especially those offensive rebounds turned into points, massive dish outs on threes. I think both their threes they hit in the first half were off of offensive rebounds. They only hit a few in the game, but they were all crucial, and no more than Bass, man. He hit a couple, I think 2-3 daggers. Obviously, the biggest one of the game, he hit with 11.9 seconds to go in the game. And he had the, as the announcers said, the moxie of it, right? And he had the attitude. And Michigan, it got fired up a little bit, but couldn't, pull away, couldn't get ahead. And really, once Central Michigan got the lead, it was always Michigan who had to come back. And it's just Michigan never got the lead back, I don't think. If they did, it wasn't more than a point on like a free throw. Free throws. Man, free throws. What do we got here? Free throws. Michigan went 15 of 21 from the free throw line. Okay. But when you lose by 2 points, you really wish you would have hit some of those front ends of 1-and-1s and such like that. Didn't happen. I gotta say, too, Hunter Dickinson continued his terrible offensive performance. 2 games in a row, he played terrible against North Carolina. Today, the last I saw, he was 3 of 8 shooting. I don't think he made anything after that, so at least he was 3 of 8, maybe 3 of 9 or 3 of 10. He did finish with double figures, but that's because he was able to hit his free throws, a few of them. He split a lot of pairs there, which was disappointing. I gotta say, the big change in the second half was Buffkin, Kobe. He had 2 points in the first half, and he finished the game with 16 points. So he's the only one that seemed to be aggressive in the second half. Doug McDaniel, he had 8 points. He finished with 10. Jet had 12 points. He only had 3 in the second half. I do have to say, too, I think Jet Howard was tired. His last 4 3-pointers were all front rim. And that's just an evidence of a jump shooter who has tired legs. 4 straight in a row that went front rim short. So I think he was overly tired. Again, Michigan's having trouble with the rotation. Obviously, Llewellyn's out and trying to balance who's going to be playing and that, and it's tough. I get it, but you know what? You got to find a way. You got to find a way not to lose to Central Michigan. And Michigan, 5 losses in the non-conference, 7-5. Oh boy! And going into the Big Ten. But again, it just goes back to the effort, and it gets contagious. Right, once Central Michigan gets a couple of them, then they're like, okay, let's keep going for it because they're outworking Michigan. And they're not being penalized for going for the rebounds and such. So I give them the credit. I mean, it annoys me, but Michigan is not that type of team. Michigan is I'll just say this, a team that doesn't want to get dirty, down and dirty and such. They just don't want to do it. They just don't. And they're a pretty team, if you will. They like to do the threes. They like to do the fast breaks. I don't see them as a team that wants to get down on the floor and go for a loose ball. Not yet. Maybe they'll change. I don't know. But the color commentator kept trying to paint a happy rainbow about this loss, that Michigan is going to be a team that will play to their competition. Well, that's great. That's great because, they were able to play to their competition against Virginia, North Carolina, and Kentucky, and they lost all those games. And they were able to play again to their level of the competition against, well, here we go, Central Michigan, they lost. Toledo, I think it was Toledo. If I've got that wrong, sorry. Lipscomb, they won. They pulled away at the very end. So great that they can play to their competition, but are they going to win any? And so far in these play to their competition games, they're not doing so well, really. What you really want, right? They're not getting a win like, oh, they got a win they really needed to get. An unexpected win. They're 7-5 in the non-conference. 7-5. So they have to go like... I always thought you had to go about 20 wins to have a chance to make the tournament. And that means outside of obviously the Big Ten tournament where you might get a win or two in there to bolster your record. But you got to go like 12-8, 13-7 in the Big Ten. That ain't happening. This team doesn't have that in them. At least I don't see it in them right now. I don't know what you guys see. I don't see it. I mean, I got to just give props to Bass. He did excellent for Central Michigan. He didn't shoot great, but he had clutch shots. He had 16. Zarzula, sorry, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, 19 points. Taylor, 12. I mean, if you look at Michigan, they had 4 players in double figures, but it was not enough again. And then T. Will, he has 2 points. Again, he's like pretty much worthless out there. I would rather have Cheddar out there instead of T. Will. T. Will's just out there and picks up worthless offensive fouls where he just doesn't set. He doesn't like attack the boards. What is T. Will? What does he do for this team? I really want to know. Is it just he's out there because he's a upperclassman? Is he out there just because he's Hunter's buddy? Why is he out there versus, say, I personally like Jace Howard better than T. Will. Jace Howard will at least try to do things. I'm not saying he's going to fill up the score box either, but T. Will just is not doing anything out there. Give those minutes to someone else. Like Cheddar. He came in and he was impactful. I gotta say, poor Cheddar, and this goes back to the refs a little bit. They're not the reason Michigan lost, but I find it ironic that the couple times that the TV crew went over a replay and said, well, clearly, Cheddar gets hit in the face with an elbow and there was no other contact, so that should be an offensive foul, and maybe Michigan should be shooting from free throws. No, still Central Michigan ball. And Cheddar gets a foul. Nice shiner for his, taking an elbow to the face, and he gets called for the foul. At the end of the game, they had, under the 2-minute warning, or 2-minute timeout, sorry, they did the review, and the TV people think, well, that went off of Jet Howard, and they kept the ball with Michigan. So it's just interesting how the TV people are seeing it different than the refs. And the refs were just interesting. I think basketball has to be probably the most frustratingly hard game to officiate, because you call ticky-tack fouls out at past the free throw line and such on the guards, and then you have the power forwards and centers banging and smacking each other, and it's completely fine. Not a foul called. I don't get how that's real, but it is what it is, and it's so annoying because you see a guy getting bumped and hacked and pushed, and then little ticky-tack foul out there. That's a foul. Yeah, I never could be a coach. I'd get teed up and kicked out of the games all the time. Oh, man. So Michigan loses. I just don't know. They were I think the last time I saw, I just was chatting with my brother before the game started, a 21.5 point favorite, and they lose. At least it wasn't as bad as, I think it was Iowa to Eastern Illinois, who was a 30-some point favorite and lost. So at least we're not that bad, but we're in the same ballpark, right? And that really tells you what state of affairs Michigan basketball is in. I mean, say what you want about Llewellyn's injury, but do you think the team's going to be playing that much greater if Llewellyn's out there? The team was dynamic and resourceful before he got injured? No, I'm sure it makes it tougher. Doug McDaniel's playing a lot more minutes, and it's putting a strain on Bufkin, who would normally play the 2 and such, and yada, yada, yada. But this team is not good. And it really makes you wonder, what can Michigan basketball do going forward? Because it seems like Juwan Howard can't seem to recruit a point guard, at least a high-level one, to come in. He always has to get people from the transfer portal. I don't know. It's like you got all these players, and they're just not coming together as a team yet. And I know it's 12 games into the season, but still, man, what's this team going to be? Hey, Guys, I just want to thank you for watching. If you have any comments, please put them in the box below. I'll try to respond as I'm able to. Again, Michigan loses to Central Michigan 63-61. Heartbreaking, shocking loss. And credit to the Chips. Hey, thanks for watching, and until I see you guys next time after the Fiesta Bowl, I think. That's what the next video will be. As always, go blue.